Hello and welcome to the second episode of Dragon Argent's Ask Founders series. My name is Saira Ghafur and I'm a trainee here at Dragon Argent. Today's guest was Dr Saira Ghafur from the Psyma mental health app. Dr Saira is one of the leads for digital health at the Institute of Global Health Innovation at Imperial College London, as well as being an honorary consultant in Respiratory Medicine at Imperial. Psyma is a revolutionary app that allows clients to access psychological therapy through a live video call. The app offers a wide range of therapies with a team of qualified psychological therapists. In today's episode, we covered the Psyma app, its journey, Saira's journey as a co-founder, and how the app is now helping solve some of the UK's mental health issues. We had a great time filming today's episode and we hope you enjoy. Hi Saira.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, lovely to meet you. How are you doing today?
Very well. It's a rainy Friday morning in London.
Yeah, so welcome to the second episode of our Ask Founders series. So we've invited you here today because we know that you're one of the founders of the Psyma app. So do you want to just give us a brief intro, a bit about you, a bit about the company?
Absolutely. So as you say, Saira Ghafur, co-founder of the Psyma mental health app. So we've been running, myself and my sister, who's my co-founder, who's a clinical psychologist. My background is in healthcare as well. I'm a respiratory doctor and have worked lots in health policy and also in health tech. So we kind of bring our skill set together and we formed Psyma over 4 years ago. So it was very much when kind of tech was up in the rise. People were looking at different ways of delivery, and then Psyma, obviously being the clinical psychologist, has had some experience delivering therapy online, and we thought, actually, how do you make this more accessible and actually a really high quality of service? So we had that kind of idea. It was probably about 5 years ago we had the idea, and then that's kind of over time turned into the reality creating the app.
So at the time, what was the market like in terms of therapy being provided online? Was it something fairly new at the time?
Very nascent. So in terms of what was out there, so it was the big providers like Babylon, who no longer exist today, but certainly big providers like that. But the whole kind of concept of online therapy, there was kind of lots of CBT or cognitive behavioural therapy apps that you could use, but it wasn't kind of the online therapy side of things. And I think that's one of the big things that we've seen over the past couple of years through the COVID pandemic, is that almost like overnight we went from, maybe doing, in my experience as a clinician, maybe 1 or 2% of our patient calls or our patient consultations we would do online or by telephone, and the rest was certainly all face-to-face. And literally when COVID happened, it was overnight, then, telephone video consults. And I think that was the massive catalyst to really then look at online therapy, and certainly telehealth as a concept really picked up. And especially for the therapy side of things as well.
So what has your journey been sort of as a co-founder for the company? How has it been founding the company first of all, and then growing the company and scaling it to the size it is now?
So very excited to start with, and I would say that we were probably extremely naive as well. So you have these like great ideas, a concept, this is brilliant, we're going to create this fantastic app and we're going to put it on the app store and we're going to have loads of like clients sign up. It doesn't really happen.
Loads of downloads in the top 10 list day one.
So it's quite funny just looking back at that, just thinking, actually, we were pretty naive doing that. And then, then you quickly have to learn on the job. We've not come from a business background, so we're both clinicians. I worked in tech, worked in kind of different areas, but we didn't have a business background. So actually, it was very quickly learning tech, learning business development, marketing, accounting, all of these different things that they wrap around the service. So it's certainly been a journey. And when you're invested so heavily in something, you rapidly learn and you grow. And actually speaking to people, making connections with other co-founders or other founders, and kind of listening to their experience as well. And people are actually super friendly in terms of advice and help, which is always great. But then it's you kind of do the basics, then you kind of scale up. It's all the kind of different experiences for funding rounds, but also scaling up over time, bringing more therapists onto the platform. And again, the kind of business development side of things. But it's kind of, it's been organic, I would say. And it's been certainly it's a fascinating journey, and highly recommend it to everyone out there. But certainly highs and lows, but more highs.
Great. So tell us a bit more about the services that you offer on your app. How can people use it? What can they do with it? So things like that.
Yeah. So the concept that we have is very simple. It's online therapy. So we work, the majority of our clients are B2B. So we sell our product to other businesses, whether it's through the NHS, it's, insurance companies, or we work as employee assistance programs as well. So it's kind of bringing all of that in. And we also take on B2C clients as well, so direct to consumer, we do that as well. But the main premise is we get referred ex-client, they can either choose their therapist on the app, or we can assign somebody to them, depending on what their needs are. And we do this, we turn this around within 24 to 48 hours. We work 7 days a week, or the app is certainly running 7 days a week, from early morning to late in the evening, to make sure that people have got the choice. So you can choose the time slot, choose your therapist. Because we are slightly different to other online therapy services, so the majority that you see in the market, they focus on one therapy modality, which is cognitive behavioural therapy. And I think a lot of people have heard of that, certainly, especially through COVID as well, look at kind of mental health help. The majority of our clinicians on the platform are clinical counselling psychologists, so they can offer a much wider variety of therapies. So we've got at least 16 different modalities of therapy that we offer. So we do the kind of mild end of kind of anxiety, depression, but then also the kind of more moderate to severe end as well. So I think it's that kind of concept along the different treatment modalities. And then we do, for employee assistance programs, we do lots of kind of coaching as well. We can do online group sessions, and we work, specifically with each client to see what their need is, and we kind of build that kind of package around them. So lots of different offerings.
Yeah, I had a look at your website, and I've had a look at the app, and it's just so fascinating how many different types of therapy there are. I mean, I personally didn't know that there were so many different, routes that you could go down to sort of get, the help and advice that you need. In terms of now how awareness around mental health has become so much more higher, what do you think are sort of the common issues that you see in the mental health world in the UK that people are sort of facing? And then how does the Psyma app sort of help with that?
I think the majority is, and I think this is really, it's been exacerbated, highlighted. I mean, two current things at the moment. Post-COVID, that's been a huge impact on the workforce and the way that we all interact as well. So, we've gone from, majority of people were working in offices or on site, and now we've kind of gone to either a hybrid or fully remote. So actually it does impact people in different ways. And actually when you look at employees are asking employers if they're kind of working, part remote, whatever else, it's what else can my employer offer me? And actually from an employer's perspective is what else can we offer employees as well? And then the other thing is the cost of living crisis, which, has been a massive headline over the past couple of months, certainly, if not the past year or so. And what we're really seeing is anxiety and depression are, huge. PTSD is another, post-traumatic stress disorder is another issue that we deal with as well. Fairly frequently. So it's all of these, they're the commonest things that we're seeing. And certainly people need and want help. And at the moment, NHS waiting lists are so extensive. So it's so tricky to, when you need help, you don't want to be waiting 12 months, 18 months to have some form of therapy. And, you know, that's where we want to come in, make sure it's an accessible service. Another thing is making sure it's really high quality as well. So I think from our clinical background, we're quite passionate about, you know, whatever we do has got to be, you know, excellent in terms of what we're providing. And we've got to say what we do.
There's a passion there,
and so the obsession is tracking clinical outcomes, making sure that our outcomes are brilliant. So, which actually that is really promising, because we're only going to be as good as our therapists, the therapy we provide, and our clinical outcomes. So we track those, and actually it's brilliant in terms of, compared to the kind of gold standard NHS service, ours is way higher. So compared to about 52% outcomes, clinical outcomes, to ours is about 96.
Oh, wow.
And our net promoter score has been super high consistently. So I think that's really important, is to make sure that you've got that evidence behind what you're doing, and making sure that you're kind of collecting that data to support your claims, and certainly that reassurance for your clients, both the individuals and also the services that you're working with as well.
Okay, so as you're scaling, as you're growing, what is the sort of long-term plan for Psyma? What is the plan for the app? What is the plan for the company as a whole? And how have you been working on sort of scaling the business at the moment?
So at the moment, so scaling wise, it's a huge focus on business development and really focusing on, as I was saying, we've kind of moved to that B2C, which we quickly realised you need very, very deep pockets to be able to do that. To that kind of B2B provision, and focusing on the employee assistance programs, but also working with the NHS and insurance companies as well. So that's our main focus, and really scaling in terms of clients. We upgrade the tech as required and kind of make sure that it's still very easy, flexible and usable for the client, so it's not kind of a hindrance in any way. And then in terms of scaling, it's, you know, capturing that UK market across the board. There's always the ambition to scale internationally as well, and seeing what else that we can add to the platform as well. So at the moment, it's a platform that, you know, we can bring clients for mental health therapy, but what else could we potentially extend that to? And then I've always got lots of ideas for the kind of research and development side. But, you know, there's always like very cool things that you can do and integrate onto the platform. But that's kind of a bit down the line at the moment.
So at Dragon Argent, a lot of the founders that we have, most of them are female founders. Yourself and your sister, Psyma, being both female founders, what were the sort of unique struggles that you faced at the time of founding the company, and also just like progressing the company now?
I would say, you know, one of the huge things is, and you see all of these figures around the investment side of things, and it's actually still pretty dire. That, you know, there's only about 7% of female-led startups that have had VC investment.
Wow.
Which is, okay, that's a bit insane. So you're kind of thinking, you know, we're in terms of population-wise and who you're serving, and in terms of, you know, the tech that you have. If you don't have, you know, female founders, then actually who's creating these apps, and are they, you know, what's the kind of passion behind it? So, you know, that's speculating. But still, the fact that it's 7% of VC funding is going to female-led founders. So, you know, you can imagine if that's the kind of figure that you're seeing, that's the reality we've lived. So it is trickier.
And how did you overcome that? I mean, the imposter syndrome must have been insane at the time, like when you was trying to overcome that struggle. How did you get through it?
I mean, it was very quickly, rapidly learning. And then actually you've just got to grow the thickest skin. So it's the worst online dating you could ever do with VCs, in terms of you get ghosted pretty quickly if they're not interested. So it's quite interesting. But I think it's a learning process, isn't it? So you've got to finesse your pitches, just be better every single time. And I guess it's a numbers game, isn't it? And making sure that you are something that they want to invest in.
So what are these sort of upcoming changes at the moment that you're seeing in sort of the digital health sector, and And how are you as Psyma, the company, trying to sort of get ahead of that and making sure you still remain current and relevant?
So, I mean, what we've seen over the past year, so I work a lot in health policy as well, so in tech stuff. So in terms of the funding climate at the moment is dire. People are nervous. There's less money to go around. So both from the VC world, clients investing or in services as well, and businesses are struggling too. So I think all of that is making sure that, you know, certainly from our perspective, is never taking on too much, or making sure you've got good cash flow. It's the business development side of things that's really crucial at the moment, just to kind of build that up. And actually, it's I think one of the really good things I'd mentioned about our clinical outcomes before is making sure that you're a quality service. So you might not be the shiniest, biggest, best, but it's what we do is excellent. So I think that's really, really important. And being current is making sure is growing out that employee assistant package, is, you know, making sure that we are giving clients what they need. So what services are, you know, they requiring, what else can we provide for them, what other kind of online adjuncts are there that we can provide as part of that therapy service as well. So I think it's kind of building all of that, and making sure that it is that quality service that you're providing.
Okay. And say, you know, I've downloaded the app. What would my journey look like through the Psyma Health app? So sort of from the minute I've clicked download to sort of sitting down with a therapist and speaking with them. Yeah.
So we have purposely kept it very simple and easy to use. So download the app. So again, it's once you've been referred, you can either choose your therapist, and we've got a profile of all our different therapists online, and then you pick your time slot. And then basically the last one is the payment side of things. And then that is, you get, if you are a B2B company, you get a referral code and you kind of bypass that bit. And then literally that's it. And then you wait for your therapy session. So that's it's simple and it's very effective. And it, you know, it's quickly getting the clients through. And certainly then the first session is very much about the different types of, you know, what the current issues are for that client, and then deciding what type of therapy would be appropriate. And certainly the referrals that we get have some outline, but I think it's always appropriate and best.
And is a referral always necessary, or have you've started exploring?
Referrals aren't. So that's with B2B clients that we work with, but certainly if it's a self-referring client, then, you know, that first call is always to explore what current issues are, what's the most appropriate modality of therapy, what kind of sessions we'd be looking at, and how the client would wish to kind of space them out. And it's very much, it's the client's journey and kind of trying to figure that out with them.
Okay. And so for all our founders watching, what would be that golden piece of advice that you could give them to sort of help them through their journey of starting their own business?
Goodness, that's a good one. I mean, maybe like go in being naive, because that's probably the best thing. So if you know too much, then you perhaps the fear kind of gets to you. But it's perseverance and it's a journey. It's exciting. There'll be ups and downs, but actually there's always more ups and downs, and it's exciting just kind of looking and learning and growing, and actually what else you can do, is being curious enough to see what else we can do to expand the business.
Okay, and for all of the, you know, students or sort of younger people who are thinking of coming into sort of the digital health world, what again would be a bit of advice that you could give them, not necessarily for founding a business, but for just coming into the sector not knowing anything?
Oh, absolutely. It's that being curious, and it's kind of look and learn, ask questions, reach out to people. And even if there's no kind of opportunities, but say, for example, you know, having internships and things, even for a couple of weeks over some part of the holidays, do things like that, read lots, see what's out there. And actually it's that reaching out, because we've only got to places. I mean, I always say this, is pay things forward. I'm only here today because people took a chance on me. So it's always paying it forward, and kind of working with people. So how have Dragon Argent sort of assisted Psyma
in the app and the growth and assisted you both as founders really in sort of getting to where you are now?
Oh, they've been brilliant. So again, going from that, being very naive at the beginning.
Yeah.
And certainly it's that business wraparound that actually you go to one place and, you know, you kind of got your accounting advice, kind of help, advice in business development, and then certainly the kind of legal background that you need as well. So that kind of wraparound service really to help push your business, and especially when you're kind of a young, small business, and to be able to go to one place to have all of those services provided for you is so much more efficient and helpful, and you're working with a team that knows you. And certainly if we have got a quick question, it's like, oh, FYI, can we just quickly ask? Or if it's a bigger issue, then you know that you're going to a robust place, that you're going to get sensible advice and help through. And also from the other side, it's when Dragon Origin say, we've got this was interesting, we thought we'd send it your way. It's always it's a great way to work.
I think for us it's just so great for us to all be in one place at the same time, to be able to really give you that advice that you need. I mean, I've personally had situations where I needed an accountant's advice and just walked across the room, got that advice and could literally give it to the client in minutes. So I'm sure that's something you've also experienced when you've asked for advice. In terms of the future for Psyma, I know you've mentioned that you're planning to grow. Any specific sort of big things that we should keep an eye out for? Yeah,
so at the moment we are looking to update tech, but growing the services as well. So kind of growing out in terms of like what else we can add on. And then see potentially for further, for going out for funding rounds as well. So that's all on the cards.
How is the funding rounds going?
So we actually stopped over COVID because we ended up growing quite quickly. And then there was a potential buyout, and then we kind of came back to the growth again. So I think we're focusing on that. And then when there's a kind of specific need for investment, then we will do that. So we bootstrap to date. So the next stage would be when we need a kind of big ticket item to help, it will be that VC funding.
In terms of international growth, is there any plan there sort of long term?
Yeah, definitely. So we always, it's always on the cards, and certainly looking at different markets. And again, it's looking at kind of legal jurisdictions, where can your therapist practice, where can you offer services, and which other countries can you kind of use therapists in. So definitely very keen to expand internationally and exploring those markets. And we've had previously, we've had some introductions to companies in the UAE as an example to see if we could expand there. But definitely all in the cards.
It's very exciting. Yes. I'm excited to see how it grows and how we at DA can support you through this process. So are there any new sort of health policies, mental health policies at the moment that are in the UK?
So last year, I'm not sure if you've seen the NICE guidance, so that's the National Institute of Clinical Excellence, put out guidance that before people are initiated onto kind of any drug therapy for anxiety and depression, that talking therapies, and certainly that should be considered. So certainly that's where we come in. And then another, there's been talk of investment in terms of getting more people back to work and seeing how government can support that, whether that's through physical health or mental health input. So again, that's where we kind of come in as an employee assistance program and helping people, stay at work, come back to work, and supporting them in that journey.
And in your capacity as sort of employee assistance, what have you noticed that the effects of hybrid working and COVID have had on employees?
I think there's so many different things. So I think everyone's journey has been a very personal one. So whether it's been, work-related, health-related, family-related, there's so many different ways that people have been impacted. And it's that hybrid working is, whether people are isolated, whether it's more difficult to get back into work. So there's lots of different ways that people have been impacted, and it's really kind of exploring that journey with each client and see what their issues have been.
So thank you so much, Saira, for joining us today. I really appreciate the time that you've given us on the second episode of the Ask Founder series, and we really look forward to having you again sometime soon.
Excellent. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for watching today's episode of Dragon Argent's Ask Founders series. For more information about the Psyma mental health app, please see the link in our description. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and leave us a comment. And we have some exciting things coming up in our Ask Founders series, so be sure to subscribe to receive notifications. We look forward to welcoming you on our next episodes of the Ask Founders series. Thank you.